If you looked at my website, the little short thing that it says is we aim to live in the wilderness, not just survive it to get back to civilization. And so that's really sort of the premise behind what I do. I've worked at survival schools and so on in the past, and with so many of these schools, the idea is you survive and then you come back to how you lived before. And I was always more interested in, well, what about the people who just lived in the wilderness, you know, our ancestors and the indigenous people of this land, and what if we don't want to come back from civilization? So that's sort of where it starts, like how can you live and be comfortable and at home in the wilderness? Now what? Yeah, that's a pretty big question. Things are changing in the world and on the earth so rapidly, and it is a good question because we got to do something. And I think one of the things that keeps coming up for me is that we've had a lot of talk, and there's been a lot of, well, you know, this is terrible and we have to do something about this, but how many of us are really willing to change our lifestyle in order for things to get better? And I think that perhaps that's part of it, you know. I think coming together in the smaller communities so that perhaps we don't have to travel such long distances, for example, because that's one of the things that is so destructive on the earth, is our incessant need and desire to travel all over the earth and burn a lot of fossil fuel. And so I can see maybe becoming a little bit more community oriented and making decisions about how we travel and how we use resources that would be less, a little more sustainable and